Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today, Tasteful Touches again, and we're looking at the last stamp. We've done all of the other images in different cards, and today we're looking at this one. And this is quite an interesting little stamp because it's got faded parts and it's got stamps. It really is a background one. So I've come up with an idea and I hope you'll enjoy it. So let's get this little one out. And we are going to use some scrappy pieces. So let me just put it on a block to start off with. Need to get it as straight as we can. I'm doing it on a block that literally is just the right size because I don't want to have too much sort of going over the sides, just for sort of lining up. Now I'm using a piece of designer series paper, which is actually from the Poppies, which is now retired. However, I like to use up all my scraps and things, and until the new ones have been delivered, I'm still going to use them. And we're going to use some, again, little scraps that are left over. So I've got a piece of Granny Apple Green, which is about quarter of it. No, let me get the tape. Let me get a ruler, then I can tell you exactly. It is yeah, just over ½ an inch on that one. This one is an old olive piece, which is just over ¾ of an inch. And then I have cut a white piece, says me, have I got my little white piece? Yes, which again is about ¾ ½ an inch. It doesn't matter exactly on the sizes, it really doesn't. You just need 3 strips. They don't need to be the same size, and that's why I've tried to do them differently, because I wanted them so that they weren't uniform across the card. I tend not to do things too uniform. So we are going to take a piece of scrap, because it will go over, and let's start with the white piece. So we are going to use, let me use Granny Apple Green. Let me just reach through and grab that. And I think I'm going to use, so I'm going to have Granny Apple Green, and then I'm going to have a dark, so let's do Pear Pizzazz and Old Olive. So those are going to be sort of the 3 greens that we're going to go in on here. So this one I'm going to use with the palest one. I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz. And I'm just going to ink this up. So I've used different sort of shades of green, whatever greens you've got. And then we're just going to stamp this across. And you can see it is sort of fairly random in there. You'll have bits that sort of overlap because it doesn't line up perfectly. I have tried it, but it just doesn't want to line up perfectly, and I want to try and get just a tiny weeny little bit up on there. Okay, so that's the first one. Then we are going to go to, let's use Old Olive on the darker one. So again, just ink it up and just sort of work your way along. So this is just going to give a little bit of tone on there. And as I say, because it's light and dark, it doesn't show up as much, but you just want that sort of bit of patterning going on. And then the last one is, need to clean this one up, my Simply Chamois. And then I am going to use the Granny Apple Green on this one. So again, I'm just sort of working my way across. There we go. Okay, so you've got the pattern on each one, and it gives a different sort of amount of definition on there. And then we're going to get a sentiment. Now I'm hoping, and this is going to be on the white one, I'm hoping that this one is going to just about, yes, it'll just about fit. It might hang over just a little bit, but I don't think that that'll matter. And I'm going to do that one in a good black ink, because if I do it in the same tone, it's not going to show up enough, and I want it to show up quite well. So let me just get that lined up, and we'll take a good black ink. And then we can just put this on here and line it up the best I can. My head might come bobbing in a little bit on this. I think it's going to come just out, but with a bit of luck it shouldn't be too bad. That's fine, that's fine. It comes over and out just a little bit, but that doesn't matter. If I'd made the paper a little bit bigger, it would have fitted a little bit better, but to be quite honest, for what we're doing, it's not going to matter. But you can see how it stands out a bit better with the green on the background. So let me just have a look at this. I might cut this one again, I'm not sure. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a go and see. We're going to have that coming in the center. I'm going to have the darker one at the bottom, and again I'm trying to line it so that it comes where the white pieces are. So we've got this sort of variegation of green going on. That'll fit in there, that'll fit in there. Yeah, that'll work fine, I think. I probably would cut that one just a little tad bigger so that the sentiment fits a little bit better. But I think, as I say, I'm not going to worry about that now. So this is then going to go on to our card base. So you have that sort of nice strip going over and across on there. And then I would add, I've done one of the little flowers, and I think that that's going to look really quite pretty like that in on there. And I might actually put some ribbon across as well. So what have we got? We've got the white ribbon in on here. I think that ribbon's going to work. I am going to take this bigger because it is going to annoy me. So let's work out the exact size of the piece we need for this. It is going to be, what did we have this at? Let me have a look on here. This was, whoops, do it in my inches. Need to probably make it just 7/8 of an inch, I think. So I need a piece that is, I always have long strips and things left over at the end, so let's see if I've got a long one. When I cut my paper down, I always have little pieces over. So this one is going to be cut at, let's get my trimmer out and organise it a little bit better. You can always fast forward on this bit, so let's put this in at, so that's an inch. We'll have it just at sort of 7/8 of an inch, I think will work. Like that. So that's 7/8 of an inch, which should work a lot better. And then we need to cut it at 5.5, which is the length of the card. Okay, let's try that again. So that's just given it a little bit more size. So let's just do it again. We need it in the Pear Pizzazz, which was the paler of the 3 greens that we were using. So like that. And as I say, it's quite a nice little stamp, but it has got this light and dark over it, so you will get just sort of a little bit of variation with it, but I think it's quite a pretty one. Okay, so that's that done. Now what I might, let me take this again and have a little look. Do I want to, you could sponge around the sides. I'm actually not going to on this because I want it to go within where the little pieces are. So let's take the sentiment again. The good things are better in life with you. I do love the sentiments on this. As I say, this stamp set really has been, I've been using it now for a week, and every single card has been very different with a very different feel, all very straightforward and simple and easy, so everybody from a beginner can have a go at making them. And you can always add more embellishments and step it up a bit if you want to, or you can just keep it simple. Sometimes simple cards look very, very effective. So let's see if this will work better in here. I think it will. There we are. Good things in life are better with you, and that now fits perfectly, so that's not annoying me. So we've now got that one in on there. So let's I'll put those away in a minute. So let's have a go at putting some of this together, and I do want some ribbon in on here because I think that that'll look pretty. And this is where, as I said, you can step things up just a little bit. So I'm going to put these pieces on first, because then I can work out where I need to put my ribbon. So this is going to go in on the centre. I'm going to have the darker one at the bottom, which will, so that's going to go in there. That's going to come up just a little bit, I think. This one is going to cover in on there. And then I need to make sure I've got room for my flower down the bottom. Yes, that's perfect. Okay, so let me just put this one in first, then I've got room for my ribbon underneath. So I'm going to do it with wet glue. You could do it with dimensionals, but I don't really want to do it with dimensionals because I don't want too much height on it, because I think that we're doing it as strips, so you want those strips to just sort of come out quite nicely. So that's going to come in there. And if you find that your paper's just cut a little bit shy or a little bit over, I always try and cut my paper over rather than under, because you can always trim it off at the sides. So let's just pop that one in on there. Is there a direction of it? Yes, I think there is on this. So that one can go in on there, to try and get as much of that sort of green bit coming through as I can. A little bit more white on there. And then the last one, which is, say, just has a little bit on there. So we can put that in there like that. Make sure I've got my flower growing up. That way. Then I can put that in so that goes in between the two. So we've got various different shades of green coming on here. You could use cardstock or whatever you wanted on there. Now we're going to have the ribbon. And so we're just going to take the ribbon through from here and do it so we can tie a bow. My scissors. Now, you very rarely see me tying bows on screen because I'm not very good at doing bows. They always take a little bit longer than I expect them to, but I think that this will work fine. Now I'm going to have it over that side, I think, probably. because we've got the flower over there. Let me have a look and see. This is where I always sort of just do, we've got the flower there, so we could have the bow coming behind the flower. Actually might look quite nice. Let's try that, shall we? So let's take that way. I'm always very cat-handed with bows. So we'll put it over this side. Although this is quite a nice nice ribbon to use with bows. Oh, it's all twisted up, but we can sort it out afterwards. Now, what I tend to do to try and get it so that it goes where I want is to take, this is my little sort of tip with bows, is to take a little glue dot, and before you tie it, because if you've only got, you know, when you're tying parcels and things, you can quite often have, you need an extra pair of hands. So if we put this underneath before we start, just on there. Okay, so when I then come to tie this, and I want it to come in on the right direction, I can make sure that this little bit goes right down onto the glue dot. So that's then helped me. So I can then go and hopefully tie the bow with my little cat hands. Let's pull this one through here. Let's see if we can get it done on the first attempt. Would be quite good, wouldn't it? Look at that. It's not too bad at all. Quite impressed with that. Okay, so let's tidy up those little ends a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to put the flower tucked in there, or do I want the bow over across? I think I might have it just like that, with the bow sort of just coming up above it. Let's just tidy that up just a little bit and take those tails down. See why I fiddle about with bows quite a bit, so take that up on there. So we can have this piece just trimmed off underneath like that, because we don't want a too big tail. Oh, come on. These scissors aren't exactly the sharpest. I might have that one just hanging down a bit. We're going to put the flower in on here. So we can just turn the bow round, a little bit of the flower. Now the flower definitely needs to go on with dimensionals. So let's find some dimensionals. We're going to need some large ones. And this flower, exactly the same as the first video. I've done it in soft suede stamped, and then I've just with our blends used the Daffodil Delight and a little bit of Calypso Coral at the bottom, just to give a little bit of definition. Now you could colour it in if you're choosing different papers, you can coordinate it with, but I wanted it to have a sort of quite a nice earthy sort of tone to it. So I'm just going to put the flower in on here like that. It's just the bow. Just turn that bow so that it doesn't come over on there, but just the little bow popping out at the bottom on there, which I think looks quite pretty. Now, where was that card base? In on here. We can then put it in onto the card base like that, and that gives you a really sort of pretty simple card, but using that one stamp, which is this one, and a sentiment. I did add the flower because it just needed a little something just in on there. So Tasteful Touches, really recommend it. You can order it now. There will be a link down below for you, and we have used everything in this set. So we're going to move on, and we're going to do some cards using, and this is just sort of letting you know what's coming up, a grandkid. This is just lovely. It's got the most amazing sayings. So smart, so fun, so sweet, and so wonderful. That will go for everybody, not only a grandkid. You've got to an extraordinary granddaughter and to an amazing grandson. You're so loved. I love the we must be related. So smart, so fun, so sweet, and so wonderful. We must be related. And this one, no amount of money could ever show how much I love you, but here's some anyway. Love that. And best grandkid ever. Really good, and we'll be doing some ideas with that. There's a congratulations and a happy birthday. So again, one set that will cover your birthdays, your anniversaries, your funny ones, your proud of people. There's just so much. It doesn't have to be just for grandkids. So stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, do hit the subscribe button and the notifications, because I do post 3 times a week. And thank you for joining me today. Do look forward to seeing you again. As always, stay safe, stay well, and be kind. Bye-bye.